This is the George Maher Show for Saturday, April 21st, 2012. On today's broadcast, Emmy Award-winning journalist Brian Sussman from San Francisco's KSFO's Morning Show. He's going to be talking about his brand new book, and believe me, it's timely for this weekend's Earth Day. And later in the hour, retired United States Air Force Colonel Marty Zickrick joins George for a preview of the long-awaited Vietnam Veterans Memorial on Memorial Island, Vero Beach. The opinions expressed during the next hour are those of George Maher and his guests, and do not reflect the opinions of WTTB or its management. Now Ballard, the guy running the controls, is about to make the mics hot. Veronica's our technical editor for today's broadcast, and I'm Mel, your announcer. Right now, here's your host, George Maher.
And a good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us here on the George Maher Show this Saturday, the 21st, on the eve of Earth Day. Hey, you know, we're all into the environment, definitely. I know I am, and I know I speak for many of you. But let's really go behind the scenes on this eve of Earth Day, because on the line joining us today from San Francisco is none other than Brian Sussman. Brian, good afternoon, and thanks for being on the George Maher Show today.
George, an absolute pleasure and honor. Thanks for the opportunity on this Earth Day weekend.
Yes. A very worthwhile cause, but can we go behind the scenes? And the new book, incidentally, is Eco-Tyranny, that was just released on April 17th, and I want to tell you, I read a lot of books. This is one you've got to read. If you're into the environment, pick up a copy of this book. It's going to shed a whole new light on things you might believe, but you're going to find out it might be a little bit different. Brian, talk to us about the book, if you would, please.
Well, I'll begin with some rhetorical questions, because the first half of the book is the most damning expose of the environmental movement ever written. It's very historical, 450 footnotes in this book in its entirety, but the rhetorical questions would be, if your listeners have ever wondered why the Obama administration and the environmentalists want to make us slaves to OPEC, why they are preparing us to be a country of rolling blackouts, why are they okay with us facing huge and critical massive water shortages, and why they want to make no available land available to a growing population, you've got to read this book, Eco-Tyranny, because I address all of those, George.
Absolutely, and since I have just read it, it's fresh in my mind. You go back and you talk about the Constitution, you talk about the federal government's what should be a lack of ownership of land. The lands in this country were meant for the people, not for the federal government and their insidious programs. So, I mean, I enjoyed that, but, you know, you were talking about the roots going back to the early days. Karl Marx comes to mind immediately, Brian.
Well, this is amazing, and this was something that struck me as I was writing my first book, which turned out to be a bestseller, and I'm grateful for that. It was called ClimateGate, A Veteran Meteorologist Exposes the Global Warming Scam. I just wanted to investigate the global warming movement, but my research started showing me a much bigger situation whereby you have an entire agenda that doesn't have to do with clean air or clean water, or for that matter, even global warming. This is an agenda that wants to change the way we live. And in the United States, they want to change us from a capitalistic system to a socialistic redistribution type system. So I'm doing all of this research a couple years ago, and I thought, my gosh, there's another book here. And the jaw-dropper for me, George, was this. And again, I'm going to share something with your audience here, and I know there will be some people who say, this guy's a conspiracy kook. Again, folks, this is history. This is history.
Yes.
Back in the 1880s, there were two very well-known leftist thinkers who were known for being very creative writers and also known for the fact that, they were very influential amongst their peers. They hated capitalism, and they came up with a scenario that they wrote about whereby capitalism's pollution would change the climate and bring about global cooling and cause a mass extinction of the human race. So that's what they wrote about in 1883. Those guys were Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. You see, they understood something. They hated capitalism, and they realized the most fearsome thing on the planet was weather. Everyone's afraid of weather. A hurricane, a tornado, a thunderstorm, a blizzard, a windstorm. Anyone who has ever been in any of those knows it's more frightening than one can imagine. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels realized if we could scare people to make them think that capitalism could actually change the climate, then we've got them. This is 1883, and now fast forward to 2012 and this Earth Day weekend. I mean, we've got festivities all around the globe with people decrying capitalism, saying capitalism's pollution is changing the climate. Score a big one for Karl Marx and Frederick Engels.
Absolutely. You know, I find it interesting also that the first Earth Day, which was held on April the 22nd of 1970, I believe it was, also coincided with the 100th birthday, or what would have been the 100th birthday of Lenin.
It's true. That is also shocking. The people that created Earth Day, Dennis Hayes, he still remains the president of the International Earth Day.
Yes.
And Paul Ehrlich, who wrote The Population Bomb, who remains an esteemed professor at Stanford University, and Gaylord Perry, who was the senator from Wisconsin, who was kind of like, he was like Barbara Boxer in drag. I mean, he was a very leftist environmental guy. They put this whole thing together, and they selected the date, April 22nd, on purpose. And I detail this in the book, Eco-Tyranny. These guys realized that Lenin's environmental policies were to be modeled. Now, what were Lenin's environmental policies? Well, friends, if you know anybody from the former Soviet Union, they will tell you what Lenin's environmental policies were, because they had to memorize portions of his books on land and on forests. Lenin believed no one should make a profit off a natural resource. He believed the natural resources belong to the state, and he believed those natural resources should remain untouched. Look what we're doing in this country. We have 700 million acres of federal property, most of which is off limits to resource development. So this was Vladimir Lenin. These guys who created Earth Day chose April 22nd purposefully because that was going to be the 100th anniversary of Lenin's birth in 1970. And I will also tell you, you could ask anybody from the former Soviet Union, they will tell you not only what April 26th represents, Lenin's birthday, but they will all recall as children celebrating April 22nd. Are you ready for this? By planting a tree.
Oh. I mean, that's a nice touch, but by the same token, implementing, beliefs in the part of Lenin on the populace just doesn't get it. And you've got firsthand knowledge, because I believe it was your grandfather immigrated here from Russia.
Exactly. My grandfather came to this country from Russia. It was his family's way of letting their oldest son leave Russia at the age of 13 to come to America with one admonition: make money, send for your brother. And he ended up making money and became very successful and became a great contributor to society. But I grew up realizing the dangers of communism, and certainly in the last century, 110,000 people lost their lives to that ideology. And trust me when I tell you, I know people will think this is a stretch, but it's all in eco-tyranny, and my arguments are airtight. This same mentality permeates the environmental movement. Again, for them, it's not really about saving trees and clean air and clean water.
Not at all.
It's about, as Van Jones said. Remember Van Jones?
Van Jones. Oh, absolutely.
He was an honest guy who said it's not about solar panels. It's about changing the entire system, George.
And in fact, he went on to say this whole thing is deeper than solar panels, because it is a social agenda. It has nothing to do with the environment. So if you're an environmentalist, wake up and pick up a copy of Eco-Tyranny, because it will dispel a lot of beliefs that you have. I know it certainly has changed my mind. And, I'm an Audubon Society guy. I've participated in underwater cleanups. In fact, headed it up here in this county when they started. I've been involved with Coast Guard cleanup programs. But when I look at this, when I hear the likes of some of these individuals, it's over the top. One of the other characters who's currently in the news that you, Michael Mann, who you bring up in the book, is in the news as recently as a couple of days ago with some of his preposterous theories, starting with the hockey stick curve, which has been dispelled, and now he's playing down. I think he actually said, well, it's not really that important. Well, it's been the guideline for many of these programs. There's been well over 1,000 studies conducted, and they all disagree essentially with what this character's saying.
Absolutely. As I note in the book Eco-Tyranny, Michael Mann is another one of these activists, eco-activists with a PhD, And his graph that supposedly illustrates these have been the hottest decades in the history of the planet are what the UN has based their agenda on, what Al Gore has based his movies and books upon, and it has been, that hockey stick graph has been broken by a multitude of very, very bright individuals. But again, you see, people like man are without a moral compass. These people will look you in the eye and lie right to you because they believe the end justifies the means. And for them, the means is this. They do not like capitalism. It may be good for their own personal pockets, but they don't think the rest of the planet can handle it. And this is something Marx believed. He didn't believe that people, the vast majority of us were smart enough to chart our own course, and therefore we needed some type of heavy-handed government regulations, laws, etc., to keep us all in check. Otherwise, we would kill each other and ruin the planet. Again, I'm not making this up. I've just read a lot of Karl Marx, and I know exactly what the guy's thinking. But again, let's think about this country, because we're in a real pickle right now. And the environmentalists are looking at this same data that I'm about to share with you. In 20 years, we'll have 40 million more people in the United States. In 20 years, we'll have In 20 years, we'll have 50 million more. In 40 years, we'll have 100 million more. They look at that data just as I do. They say, well, we just can't use as many resources. We need to start using less oil, less water, less natural gas now, so that way we can build a future whereby we just won't need so much, and everyone can monitor their personal carbon footprint, use mass transit, walk, bike, live a smaller lifestyle, etc. That's what the left believes. Well, I look at those statistics, 50 million more people in 20 years, 100 million more in the United States in 40 years, and I'm saying we need more. We need more resources. We need more oil. We need more gasoline, which, by the way, will translate to loads of jobs. We need more nuclear power plants, which I explain in the book, and by the time you read this book, you'll know how to build a nuclear power plant.
Incidentally, an excellent job. I started a little fusion factory out in my rear yard over the weekend, so it's, but no, and it is so safe. It's safe. So many of these things have been blown out of proportion, starting with 3 Mile Island. But you know what, folks? It's all in the book. It's all in the book. Eco-tyranny. And this is not a conspiracy theory. Brian's taken the time to document this. If you like footnotes, if you like references, this is the book for you. It's the real deal. Hey, Brian, can we take a short break? I got to pay some rent. We're going to be right back, folks, after a few minutes. We are here with Brian Sussman, morning guy at KSFO 560 in San Francisco. In the meantime, we're going to be right back. Don't go away.
It's time now for a Great American Retro Rewind.
The Streets of San Francisco, a Quinn Martin production, starring
George Maher.
Also starring
Emmy Award winner and San Francisco's KSFO morning talk host, author Brian Sussman. George will be back in just a moment with a real San Francisco treat.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. Rice-A-Roni, the flavor can't be beat. One pan, no boiling, cooking ease.
A flavor that is sure to please.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
Go ahead, make my day.
From the beaches to the headwaters of the St. Johns River and worldwide, this is the George Maher Show. Visit George at GeorgeMaherShow.com.
Hey, and a good afternoon, and welcome back to the George Maher Show right here on News Radio 1490 WTTB, broadcasting out of Vero Beach, Florida, and on the web at GeorgeMaherShow.com. And hey, guys, gals, if you're just tuning in, I'm so enthusiastic. We got our friend from KSFO AM 560 out of the San Francisco area, Mr. Brian Sussman. Hey, Brian, I hope you could hear that little collage that was put together for your benefit.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. That was perfect. And a lot of times on my radio show in San Francisco, I make fun of Nancy Pelosi as being the San Francisco treat because she's the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, she is. Hey, and we had to put that together. We were listening to KSFO, the morning show. It's 5 a.m. until 10 a.m. And the other day, you and your sidekick, Melanie Morgan, were talking about Rice-A-Roni, so we couldn't resist. I'm sorry. Took a little poetic freedom there, or whatever you want to call it. But at any rate, hey, we are talking with Brian Sussman, author of the new book just released on April the 17th, Eco-Tyranny. Eco-Tyranny on this, the eve of Earth Day. Hey, Brian, back to you, sir.
Yes, it's amazing to me how folks are under the spell of the green movement to the point where, George, it's become like religion. In Chapter 6 of the book, Eco-Tyranny, I talk about the green gospel. We have an entire generation in this country now that have been raised believing that there is a crisis being caused by them, being caused by their parents, being caused by their grandparents. And this is a system that even has a sort of religious penance to it, whereby if you recycle, you'll be a better person. If you monitor your carbon footprint, you'll be a better person. If you go out and buy a hybrid vehicle that maybe you can't even afford, somehow you'll be a better person. But this mindset has permeated the American lifestyle. And as I note in Eco-Tyranny, as you know from reading the book, it's the green tentacles from this movement have reached into virtually every aspect of American society. And so the second half of the book, I just propose ways that we can undo this, because if we don't, we are not going to be the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We will be the land of monitor your carbon footprint, reuse, recycle, and, quite frankly, tyranny.
Total tyranny, and it's just, again, this book just exposes so many things. It's such a great timeline, beginning with Marx and coming forward right up to today, things you're reading in the paper. Hey, Brian, you know, here locally we're going around on this smart meter issue now through Florida Power and Light, and
Right.
There's a lot of people raising some commotion about it now. And, you know, after I read Eco-Tyranny, your fine new book, you know, you talk about the smart meters in there and the ultimate outcome. And this is very Orwellian to me. This is like something that came out in 1984, this whole concept of the smart meter and what can, in fact, and may well be done with it, unless we take some measures now. And the best way to do this is to get educated first. You know these points, know what's going on, and then do something about it. Don't sit back and go, oh, that guy's a conspiracy theory nut. Him and that Maher guy, they're both a bunch of kooks. Not so. Pick up the book. It's a challenge.
Well, and the smart meters, this is a federally mandated program, folks,
yes,
that ties into the smart grid, which is federally mandated. And I'll just explain in a quick paragraph how this is going to work. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. It's law, and it's moving forward at breakneck speed. So the idea is your smart meter will be tied into something they're working on here in the Silicon Valley called the Home Area Network that will tie into every electronic device in your house, including your energy smart appliances, and all of that then will be tied into the smart grid. So let's say it's a very, very hot day in Florida. It's the middle of summer. You've got the air conditioner on. It's 78 degrees. You're watching the big screen, ball games on, and for whatever reason you're doing a load of laundry. There's going to be some bureaucrat somewhere who's saying, wait a second, we have a power shortage right now. We need to, what, this guy right, I can't, his air conditioner is at 78. Okay, turn that up to 85. My gosh, how big is that big screen television? It needs to be at least 50 inches. Turn that off until 8 o'clock tonight. A load of laundry on a day like this? Shut those Energy Star appliances off. They won't return on until 10 p.m. Folks, I'm not making this up.
Not at all.
This is all in development. It's all legislated. It's all coming. This needs to be stopped because that's not America. That's something far different. It's Orwellian.
Very much so. That's what struck me.
Yes, and so people need to realize, we've been asleep. We've been asleep at the wheel while all this crazy legislation has been brewing, while these masterminds have been imposing this plan for their green utopia, which is going to be the United States of America. And, George, we didn't even talk about the plan that the Obama administration had, which is in the back of my book. I scanned these secret documents. I've included them with handwritten notes from some Department of Interior mastermind to take over 144 million acres of private property and return it back to nature and not even allow that property to be able to be visited by mankind.
Yeah, we will not.
This is what they're doing behind our back.
Yeah, and that's what struck me. If I want to hike, that's off limits. That is off limits. If you want to go out and live in the country, you better watch where you're living, because if you're upside one of these things, you might be confronted with bears, wildcat, and cougars. And I'm not talking about a petting zoo here either.
No.
But
it's absolutely true, George. And we're seeing this all around us here in California. I mean, we're leading the way. We're a couple decades ahead of the rest of the United States here, and it's driving people out of this state because it's just an unfriendly business climate.
Yes.
And once cap and trade locally kicks in next year, it's going to be incredibly expensive for everyone to live.
And, we never did get, and I know we're getting short on time. I'll tell you what, Brian is such a busy guy, folks. If you watch Fox, which I'm sure a couple of you do out there, seems most of America does, you would have seen Brian on with Steve Ducey the other day on Fox and Friends, and you were also on with Lou Dobbs here recently. Lou Dobbs, the financial guy over there at Fox. So I know you're real busy, but I'm hoping that some point in time in the future you can come back and visit with us, because there are so many other items in this book we didn't even get to cover. The water situation in the West, and how arrangements are going to impact us around America. If we think the gasoline supply is in short demand or in short supply, the water supply is looking pretty bad in the future as well.
Yeah, these are critical infrastructure needs, and again, the people standing in the way of developing these needs and allowing us to have even water, folks, even water, are the environmentalists, part of the Green Agenda plan, because they equate water, they equate electricity, they equate energy with development and capitalism, which at the end of the day they loathe. And remember, Earth Day, it's not a celebration of the earth, folks. It's an assault on mankind. It's an assault on capitalism. So don't drink the green Kool-Aid here. Remember, this is a big plot, and they're trying to suck you in.
Couldn't have said it better. And again, we're not anti-environment. I know you're very much into the environment in your own right, but that's what we're into. We're into the environment. We are not into socialism. We're not into politics in terms of nature. Two distinctly different items, so don't get sucked in. And the best way to avoid it, the best way to educate yourself right now, folks, if you have an interest in this, go out and buy Brian's new book, Eco-Tyranny. And incidentally, if you want to order that, we've got a special. If you go to GeorgeMaherShow.com, GeorgeMaherShow.com, over on the left side of the page, you can click on the book Eco-Tyranny. You will then be directed in and go to WND Books, and you can get Brian's original volume, Climate Gate, absolutely free when you order. And I believe these are autographed copies of Eco-Tyranny. Yeah. So act on that, but do it now, because the bookstores are getting inundated with requests. And Brian, I know we're real short on the clock. You got another interview to do. Once again, we want to thank you for being with us today on the George Maher Show, and I hope we get a chance to chat with you again real soon.
George, I can't wait. You're a great interview. I appreciate your time, and let's do it again soon.
I look forward to it. And, hey, say hi to Melanie on Monday. Will you do that?
I will definitely do it, sir. Thank you.
All right. Thank you once again. And that is Brian Sussman, author of the brand new book, Eco-Tyranny. That's available in bookstores now, or you can go online. Go over to GeorgeMaherShow.com. And we'll have that available for you on the left-hand side of the face page. Hey, listen, it's really been a pleasure having you in today. I hope you all have a great weekend. And get out there and participate in some of those Earth Day activities tomorrow, the 22nd. But also get out by Brian Sussman's new book, Eco-Tyranny. Hey, this is George Maher on the George Maher Show. Once again, thanks for stopping in. Have a great weekend. God bless you. And God bless America.